My name is Hoki Mate Painting of Kawakawa, formerly of Utukura in the Hokianga. And for me, these hearings have been important from the beginning of last year right up to now, the closing, because it's all about our rangatiras, the chiefs, who were personally involved in acquiring a flag, an ensign, on which they gained and became internationally known as a sovereign nation. And that's where all this sovereign talk comes from. I want to go into stage 2, because if we don't, there is no justification for going for negotiation or for settlement. What do we ask to be settled if they haven't heard what we have got to say?
All I can say from my perspective in regards to the hearings, I think it's a little bit too little, too late. Too little, too late. It's over 170 years we've come to here now, and there's hardly been any progress made. And when you look at the fiscal, total fiscal, the government has given to address all the claims, and then you hear about what they did with that company down in South Canterbury. They got more in just a few months than we got in 170 years. So I would say, looking at it now, and I'm not being racist or whatever, there's been a total bias in terms of the settlement for that document signed at Waitangi on the 6th of February 1840. And I want to make the statement here. I was born on the banks of the Waitangi River. The only document that was signed here was Te Tiriti Waitangi. The English one was signed 64 days later, Port Waikato, Raglan, Kawhia. End of history for that one. Having said that, it's been, because I was born on the banks of the Waitangi River, by the time I was 16, I knew all the history from the Maori perspective of how we came to New Zealand, the waka and all that. And at the same time, I had to cross the educational divide to also have a pass. When I left the primary school, I said, well, I had a pass. So, you know, most Maori people have that. They have this pass from their history that they learned on the Malaya and the history we learned through the education curriculum. I would say that the interest that's been, well, it's not the interest, but what's happening overseas now with the Arab countries. This is a phenomenon that we're seeing, the uprise of the ordinary people, the little people in the Arab states, those countries that were looked so immovable, but now we see the thousands upon thousands of the Arab people rising up. There's Egypt, Morocco, Bahrain, Yemen, all of them. And it raises some concern, I think, worldwide of what's happening with the indigenous people. You know, this is part of what's happening to the indigenous people worldwide. And when I see that it's on currently, when I see that, then it raises a few, well, alarm bells in my mind. What's the world coming to? Are they rising up in anger or what? You know, this is some of the questions that we have to find a clear and a balanced truth of history to address the issues that we are facing now in the world. But it's part of the history that the indigenous people have put up with right throughout history, and it's here now we find them turning around against their own government, and that sort of is a concern to me. But we have here history just evolving. The hearings have been good. We've had experts on Maori history, Maori whakapapa, and some very learned kaumātua speaking. And you know, the history they're talking about, you don't get that in university, while we have eminent men like Professor Rangi Walker, Patoepa who are teaching that in your university, but there are also Maori kaumata who hold that huge volume of history, and them presenting that before the tribunal. The question I want to ask, is the tribunal listening? Is the Crown listening? And further than that, more than that, when they make recommendations to the Parliament, and the only recommendations, it's not a directive, would they listen? And, this is one of the things that concern me. And one of the things also that's been a bother to me, they say, well, we'll give you a royal apology. But we've heard that with Ngāi Tahu a few years ago, but they are still committing the same violations, and it goes on with Waikato, but they still say, we give you a royal apology. But to me, if it's a royal apology, then that system of violation should have stopped way back then, but it's just continuing on today. So I think I've said enough.